Some of the John Wiley Price corruption trial will likely be debated for years. So many were sure that he'd be found guilty. Well, they were wrong, and few have ever heard of the person who you might call his secret weapon. News 8's Brett Shipp explains in this WFAA original.
How do you feel, Mr. Price? How does it feel?
April 28th, Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price emerges from the federal courthouse a free man, found not guilty of conspiring to solicit bribes. Price's legal team is led by his lead attorney, Shirley Lobel. She and Price are all smiles, basking in glory, but this is not their story. This story's about the guy in the glasses walking behind them, smiling. You don't know him, but you need to. He's one of the key reasons John Wiley Price walked.
I think that he expressed a lot of trust and faith in me earlier than people may realize.
His name is Chris Knox, 35 years old, practicing law for 8 years. He's the son of longtime defense attorney Bill Knox. They office together and occasionally run into each other at the courthouse.
Y'all know each other?
We do, and I love that kid.
You what?
I love that kid.
Why?
He has been the best kid that's ever been, I promise. No, really and truly.
It was 2 years ago, out of nowhere, Chris gets a call from the feds. They want to appoint him to represent Commissioner John Wiley Price in what was being called one of the largest corruption trials in the country.
I mean, it was a rush of different thoughts. Like, yes, I would be flattered and honored.
But didn't that kind of take your breath away? I mean, that is like a big deal.
It did, absolutely it did.
And for 2 straight years, his office became the war room for the Price defense. 12 to 15-hour days, 6 days a week. Knox and his team of interns and legal assistant Heather Malone processing, prioritizing a crazy amount of evidence compiled by the feds against Price. 8 terabytes of data. How much is 8 terabytes?
660 million sheets equivalent of paper if you printed it all.
Which explains the stacks of boxes and materials cluttering his war room, as well as all of the suits draped on his coat tree.
You literally lived down here.
Yeah, I did.
And it paid off. During the trial, Knox shared the stage with lead defense attorney Shirley Lobel. He calls her
the brightest legal mind I have ever worked with.
But Knox may have shined the brightest during the 2-month trial, and especially during his riveting 75-minute closing argument. The verdict, not guilty.
All that emotion is still rushing through you, but I remember it. I remember the walk that normally takes me about 180 seconds. Took us about 10 minutes.
Now, nearly 2 months later, it's back to reality.
What are your days like now?
They're a little bit slower.
Remember, it was 2 years of basically nothing but preparing for the John Wiley Price trial.
Here, let's go down here.
On this day, all he had was 2 case resets, an aggravated robbery and a DWI. But John Wiley Price and Chris's father will tell you those 2 clients are getting the best representation in the courthouse.
And while Knox may have been Price's secret weapon, federal prosecutors were coping with a huge loss at the same time, a big reason they lost the case. The lead FBI agent on the case, the most storied G-man in the history of Dallas corruption cases, nearly died. In fact, he says technically he did die in the middle of the investigation, forcing him to resign from the case and from the FBI. His name? Don Sherman. His impact on the John Wiley Price trial and his remarkable road to recovery tomorrow night at 10. Brett Shipp, Channel 8 News. Excuse me.
Allergies.